With a contract status update and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Following SmackDown, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns could be seen exchanging words after agreeing to team up to face Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Explaining why Cody Rhodes will not turn heel anytime soon in WWE, Dutch Mantel noted on Smack Talk, "I don't think so. Cody'd be a good one, but I think he is selling too much merchandise for them to throw that away. Kids are buying that stuff left and right." Going over a romance angle on Raw that was dropped, this was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Kiana James, Kayla Klingon-Smith, 27, was removed from the Raw roster because she's out of action for a long time due to a leg injury. They had teased something with Adam Pearce and her, seemingly setting up a romance that would hardly have been a smart idea for an authority figure having a relationship with a woman wrestler. The angle was dropped cold, maybe due to the injury. Taking to Instagram, MVP revealed that he is training to return to in-ring action.
Hey man, I got some rolls, a little stretch, a little bit of a warm-up.
Well,
Stop laughing at me, Sheldon.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm encouraging you.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
My first bump in a long time.
All right, let's get it. All right, yeah, get the kinks out. Come on
All
now.
right, here we go. This one's for you.
All right, that arthritis should be warm up by
I
now.
even remember how to.
I don't know.
I think I'm a manager now. I talk, right?
I know, that's all.
All right, now here we go. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Oh. You
I
okay?
get the little Tweety birds going around my.
All right, do we need to call a minute?
No. I ain't never lost it. You ain't got to do it. You still got it because I ain't never lost it. Sit tight.
With him set to face CM Punk for a third time in singles action in a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood, Drew McIntyre said this about his opponent, telling Mike Johnson of PW Insider. "I mean, if I had a chance to really think about it, initially I was pretty annoyed that CM Punk returned to WWE, but I understand business, and I understand why it was done, but I found it interesting that everybody started going, oh, it's obviously going to be this or obviously going to be this guy. I was sitting there thinking, there's a lot of real history here and a lot of real feelings I've got, and if I get the opportunity, I know we could tell the most compelling story of all. Because no matter my real feelings, I'm still a professional, you know? He's still a professional. And we've been given the platform to show the world what we can truly do creatively. Our creative team, obviously led by Triple H, is very much, you go out there and you take this creative as far as you can take it. You make people feel, you make people believe, and it's not so hard to make people believe when you truly feel what's good on screen inside and out." Comparing WWE's Dominik Mysterio and AEW's MJF, former WCW president Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast. I like that. Dominik, my god, like, I'll be honest, when they first started pushing, I want to say pushing, but when I first saw Dom on WWE TV, I was like, well, at least he's getting to experience an opportunity. Holy crap, he's not only experiencing it, he's so capitalizing on it. He's so good as a heel. It's like we were talking about MJF last week. You know, MJF, I think, loves being a heel. Some people do, very few people do, because it goes against human nature, and I think Dominik is WWE's answer to MJF, especially when it comes to getting heat. As I said last week, those who really embrace it, who love it, and bask in the glow of it, it's awesome to see. And that's Dom, man. He just loves being a heel. He has no fear. And I don't mean just doing things in the ring, but as a character. He apparently, I've never worked with him, obviously, but he just doesn't appear to have any fear. He's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get the character over. Asked about a co-star from the Killer's Game movie that would be great in WWE, Batista told BuzzFeed celeb Terry Crews all day long. Terry Crews, without blinking, could be a WWE superstar. He's not only physically able, but his charisma and personality is off the charts. He'd go there and within a week, he'd become world champion. Mentioning why the Bloodline showed up on NXT to get involved in the match between the Street Profits and Axiom and Frazier, this was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. They didn't want the Street Profits losing and weren't going to change the titles, so that meant a non-finish. The decision to have the three be involved in the finish was made when the decision was made to put the Street Profits in the match. Confirming that she signed with NXT, former NFL cheerleader Danielle Sikelski wrote this on Instagram. Life update that I've been waiting to share with y'all for some time now. Back in April, I attended the WrestleMania tryout in Philadelphia. And fast forward, I packed up and moved to Orlando to start training with WWE in July. To say I'm grateful for this opportunity is the understatement of the century, and to say I'm hungry for my future with this company is a fact. Thank you, NXT and WWE Recruit. Now it's time to bring a little spirit into this NXT locker room. Previously, Tony Khan made this comment in regards to AEW potentially becoming the second most profitable pro wrestling company in history. I think it is reasonable. Whether those cash flows happen overnight when the new deal kicks in, I can't say those things for sure yet. There is still a lot to be figured out. I do think the die is cast that AEW is going to be the second most profitable wrestling company at this point of all time, which is very impressive for a promotion that is just over 5 years old and has been on television for less than 5 years. It's amazing how quickly we're expended. The expansion of the television product going from 2 hours a week to 5 hours a week, being very excited about what the future holds in our media deal. It's a really great time for the company. As getting into the semantics and mechanics of the accounting and how we're counting all the dollars, I'm not sure exactly how much money WCW made in 1998. Nor am I honestly sure how much Jim Crockett was making in 1986. But over the duration of this deal, I expect over this multi-year period that we're about to enter into, that we will be the second most profitable wrestling company in the history of the wrestling business. It's a really exciting thing, and it's also only the beginning. It's the beginning of a really long journey. It's been a long journey, but it's still early in the long journey. We're really building for the future. Kevin Nash responded on his Click This podcast saying WCW went bankrupt, ECW went bankrupt. It's like the cockroach saying I'm the superior being because when all this plays out, I'll still be here. Mentioning a WWE star that he feels has the potential to be a great actor, Stephen Amell told the Masked Man show, I think the guy that might have chops is Kevin Owens. If you've ever met Kevin, he's the most super soft-spoken, kind, polite, and then he comes out and it's just fire when he's in the ring. Addressing a rumor that there was a backstage confrontation in WWE between head of creative Triple H and Jacob Fatu, Rikishi noted on his Off the Top podcast, "We're going to crush that rumor right now. Jacob would never, ever disrespect Triple H, period. Nor would he disrespect me, anybody older in our family, or even his own cousins, or even the workers there. That's not in that kid's bones. Now, if you cross that kid, it's a whole new, different story." Recalling plans for him and his brother Gable Steveson for WrestleMania, former NXT star Damon Kemp told the Wrestling Classic, "So it was weird, the dynamic between myself and my brother in WWE. He was doing his thing with amateur wrestling, the Olympics and stuff like that, and then I wanted to keep my last name. I was like, why not keep my last name? He's literally in the business with me, looks just like me, why would we differentiate at all? And then they're like, oh yeah, eventually we'll get to something where you guys get to do this and do that." And then it was also really funny when they had him help Eddie Thorpe out. I just thought it was like comedy kind of in a way, because I was like, I found out that he was going to help him out because he knew me really well, but we weren't related. I asked him, I was like, yo, you know, people are going to know we look alike. I was just thinking in the back of my head, is it going to eventually lead to something? Because I lose to Eddie, do I eventually get to wrestle my brother? You can go back and look on Twitter. Gerald Briscoe tweeted it like 3 years ago, and there was a thing with the Creeds. He was like, this is the match that we're going to see at WrestleMania, the Stevesons versus the Creeds. I still have the tweet saved. Great dude also. More stories with him, and then I was like, why are we doing this? It's just kind of weird, kind of comedy-ish, you know? I think if we could have wrestled in NXT, I think a match like that would have been a match we were told, if you guys ever wrestle, it would be a WrestleMania, and we were literally told that if you guys ever wrestle, it would be a WrestleMania match. And then I was like, okay, so, you know, maybe 5-10 years down the road, I wrestle my brother at WrestleMania. I'm just thinking at the time, thinking of what ifs. Going over plans that WWE has for NXT as the show is set to premiere on the CW network, Dave Meltzer said this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. They really want the idea out for CW that any main roster star could show up unannounced or announced. We're told another change in the show with the move on October 1st is that it has to end at 9:59 p.m. because so many of the CW stations have news at 10 p.m., so no more overruns. Also, more information regarding the move for Raw to Netflix was provided, with it said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that one reason Netflix picked up Raw is that they are working to incorporate commercials into their programming, and the pro wrestling audience is already accustomed to seeing ads during shows. However, Netflix will have more flexibility compared to traditional television. They can adjust the timing and duration of commercial breaks without the need for the show to adhere strictly to the second. During TNA Victory Road, Stephe revealed she would be out of action, as Ringside News wrote that, according to PW Insider, Stephe announcement at TNA Victory Road about needing neck surgery was legitimate. As of now, there is no information on how long she will be out of action. Mentioning his commitment to TNA Wrestling, Moose noted on the Battleground podcast, "One of the reasons I've always stayed and never left to go elsewhere is because when I'm done and hang the boots up, I want my name to be synonymous to TNA. Right now, when you say those 3 letters, the name that everybody thinks of first is AJ Styles. 5 years from now, once I hang the boots up, because that's when I'm planning on hanging the boots up, is once my current deal is up, I want my name to be the first name that people think about when they hear TNA. That's the plan. I'm not one of those guys that wants to keep wrestling until he's 50 or 60. I want to hang those boots up and ride into the sunset and enjoy some of this money I made with pro wrestling and pro football." Providing an update on the reports that AEW has been talking to Fox regarding a TV show on their network, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "There is no Fox deal. There are talks, there is no deal." When it comes to an in-ring return for current WWE commentator Wade Barrett, he told Ace Odds 100%. Anytime I get asked this question, if I could have one match for the remainder of my days on this planet and you're allowed one more match, who would it be? It would absolutely be me against Drew McIntyre at Wembley Stadium, a sold-out Wembley Stadium. I think that is the pinnacle for British wrestling, especially if you're fans of the era back when Davey Boy and Brett competed in '92 at that SummerSlam. If they dangled that in front of me at any point in time, yeah, absolutely. I'm coming back and I'm having that sold-out match at Wembley Stadium, but that is a bit of a pipe dream. It's not something I'm actively pursuing or trying to pursue. I'm fit and healthy. If something came up where they say, okay, there's a match here, would you be interested in doing it? If it makes sense to me and I was excited to do it, absolutely I could. The other thing I would say though is I look at the kind of schedule that Cody Rhodes has, for example. It's a killer at this point in time for me. I'm 43 years old, not too far from 44. The prospect of physically grinding that kind of schedule month after month after month as a full-time guy, it's not for me at this point in time. I've kind of mentally moved on from that. Revealing that he has had conversations with AEW president Tony Khan, former WWE star Matt Riddle said this on SI's The Takedown. With AEW, I think AEW is a fantastic product. I know a lot of the people that work there. I like the company. I like the way they work. I like the people that work there. I think with me, and it's one of the things I've noticed, I've been relieved after getting fired from WWE. I felt that because I was on TV and I'm such a proactive character at times, everything was magnified so much because I was on TV. The stress of working on TV 2 to 3 days a week was a lot. I like pressure, I like stress too, but it was a lot. The best answer would be to go to AEW, get more money, and work a decent schedule. I didn't want to work on TV again. I didn't want the attention for a while. I wanted to step away. I just wanted to do indies. I know MLW works with New Japan. New Japan works a lot with AEW. Maybe you'll see me on an AEW channel or broadcast sooner rather than later. Maybe you won't. I talked to Tony Khan. I don't know if he likes me. He seemed happy. I wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. in Chicago. He seemed cool about it. I don't know. When you meet me, I'm very sarcastic, but when I met him, I was like, oh, you like that match? But I said it a different way, and he looked at me all confused, and I was like, never mind, dude. I just walked away. So that was my experience with that. As Roman Reigns was seen on SmackDown for the show's move to the USA Network, he went undrafted and was a free agent earlier in the year. Now, according to WWE.com, he is listed as a part of the Blue brand. As rumors had been circulating regarding the WWE status of the Motor City Machine Guns, an update has been provided with it said that we finally have some clarity on Motor City Machine Guns. Earlier this week, Pro Wrestling Nexus had reported that Motor City Machine Guns as Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin were headed to WWE. Tonight, WWE sources have claimed to Fightful that the duo are officially signed. Questions have swirled about their status for months, but details were few and far between. Outside of AEW sources indicating months ago that the duo hadn't been signed and weren't planned for the company. There were some creative pitches there, but they didn't end up happening. PW Nexus added that logos, merch designs are still being worked out for Motor City Machine Guns and WWE. They will not be using their TNA theme, and from the sound of it, Def Rebel has a theme set for them already. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.